President Muhammadu Buhari came into government in 2015 with the mindset of making the life of the average Nigerian better. His entire plan of doing this was based on three pillars: the fight against corruption, the battle to save the economy, and the war against insurgency. Now, 7 years down the line, on his 80th birthday, there are mixed feelings on how much success he has attained. Kaindi Amodu reports.
The first few months of the Buhari administration were very difficult. The new president had come to a shocking realization that what was on ground was totally different from what he had envisaged when he was on the sidelines.
We haven't saved a kobo. And when we came in, we have to give money to 27 out of 36 states to pay salaries. After the bailout, some of them now are back to square one. They cannot pay salaries again. Which kind of managers are we? I like the elite to please sit and reflect on the incompetence of leadership in our country. Because that's the only way we can come up with a solution.
Dwindling revenue has continued to dog the government since 2015, and it has had to borrow to fund what it has earmarked for change. One of the things the administration identified was a huge infrastructure gap that needs to be bridged.
Nobody can deny Buhari the progress that we have made in terms of infrastructure since after go on. I've confronted somebody that said, okay, take president by president and name what we've achieved. The next man you can talk about in terms of development in infrastructure after Buhari will be with Bangida, with the contribution of Abuja, the development in Abuja. Well, after that, tell me who else. We had road crisis, we still have road crisis. What the president has done, and it's very difficult to see a president do that. Look, we are not going to build new roads. Can we first rehabilitate the old ones that we have? Let us reconstruct the old ones that we have to a standard that can convey both goods and passengers from one point to the other. If we finish them, then we can start afresh and begin to look for new roads to build. And that's what my friend and colleague, former governor of Legacies, Babatunde Fashola, is doing in the area of road.
And his associates believe that the social investment program is one of the legacies that Buhari will be remembered for.
What I consider to be the hallmark of this administration is the social intervention program, which is a cluster of programs aimed at alleviating poverty, aimed at inclusiveness, and aimed at addressing the needs of the underserved.
The president will also be remembered for a robust battle against corruption. Critics still point out that some corrupt elements have slipped through the cracks under his administration, but it is generally agreed that the president himself stands aloof from some of the misdeeds happening around him.
The effort to rid the country of corruption, of course, is a mountainous challenge. It cannot be said that he hasn't done his best, because he has changed, as we speak, in 7.5 years, the moral tone of the country. You know, corruption on a grand scale has been abolished.
From day one, everybody knows that the president is the anti-corruption champion. And of course, he has been supportive, in whatever need that, we need. Of course, it is not all about political will, but political action. And he has exhibited, both in what we are doing. And of course, as the saying goes, this issue of Naira redesign that he came up with is helping us tremendously to sanitize the entire system of this hoarding and money laundering that is taking place, with cash, all around the country.
One issue that will continue to generate controversy is how successful the Buhari administration has been in tackling insecurity.
In a logistic supply route for the criminals, and of course averted several community clashes, restored socio-economic activities in the troubled areas, and arrested several criminal elements, including those who deal in drugs, and as well as arms and ammunition. We've been able to ensure that IDPs are back to their ancestral homes. Those who are kidnapped are rescued. The militia camps, of course, also, destroyed, and of course, arrest of gun runners, among several other issues. Yes.
And though there are incidents that indicate otherwise, his aides believe he has been very tolerant of the media.
In terms of having a record of tolerance for the media, no president has experienced this kind of tolerance in the media. He simply is the butt of many jokes, the social media especially. Very unfair editorials have been written. People, sometimes out of ignorance, write picture articles. And for him, he just takes in his stride.
As he celebrates his 80th birthday, there's a lot President Muhammadu Buhari should be thankful for. He should also be thankful for the opportunity to lead Nigeria in the last 7.5 years, despite the ups and the downs. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
This is News Hour. Coming up after the break. How rising cost of food items raise concerns ahead of Christmas celebration. Details of this story after the break. Stay with us.
On Chibok Girls, did you read this 7 years ago? Did you know this fact on Chibok Girls, published on June 24, 2014 as a cover story by This Day newspapers, a sister to Arise TV when Senator Kashim Shettima was governor of Borno State? Chibok abduction. Presidential panel indicts military, absolves Borno State government. June 24, 2014. The Presidential Fact-Finding Committee on the abduction of the schoolgirls in Chibok, Borno State, in its report submitted to President Goodluck Jonathan last Friday, indicted the military for kidnapping of 276 female students from their school. According to a source on the committee, the report by the committee led by late Brigadier General Ibrahim Sabu, retired, came down heavily on the military for not responding to intelligence reports before the attack on the Chibok community and the abduction of the schoolgirls over 70 days. The committee, which advised the federal government to keep its report classified for the sake of national security and so as not to jeopardize the release of 219 schoolgirls who remain in captivity, also said in the report that the military also failed to respond to the attack on Chibok because soldiers were ill-equipped and ill-motivated. Also, contrary to expectations, the fact-finding committee absolved the Borno State government of complicity in the kidnapping of the schoolgirls and failure to provide security at the government secondary school Chibok. Yet, political mischief makers manipulatively used the Chibok abduction in their ethnic profiling of Kashim Shettima. Signed, Newi Integrity Group for Tinubu Shettima. 2012. Why was terror suspect Kabiru Sokoto at Borno Governor's Lodge under Kashim Shettima? The cable revealed how Boko Haram kingpin plotted to kidnap Shettima's children at Borno Lodge, July 15, 2022. Kabiru Umar Sokoto, the convicted Boko Haram bomber, was hatching a plot to kidnap the children of Kashim Shettima, then governor of Borno State, when he was arrested in January 2012, a confidential memo has revealed. Sokoto was the mastermind of the Christmas Day bombing of St. Teresa Catholic Church in Madalla, Niger State, which killed at least 37 people and injured 57 others. He was initially arrested at the Borno Governor's Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja, on January 14, 2012, before he escaped from police custody and was re-arrested a month later in Taraba State. In a confidential security memo dated Thursday, June 14, 2012, that is just coming to light, Sokoto was reported to have infiltrated the Borno Governor's Lodge in a plot to kidnap the children of Shettima. who had relocated them from Maiduguri, Borno State, to Abuja for safety reasons. According to the memo which was submitted to the presidency, Shettima, who had spent barely 8 months as governor, had been warned that Boko Haram was plotting to kidnap his children for ransom. Shettima, who is now the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC), decided to relocate them, 2 girls and a boy, to Abuja and enrolled them at Turkish and British schools in Wuse 2 and Gwarimpa. To be kidnapped for 1 billion naira ransom. The memo suggested that Sokoto was planning to kidnap the children on Monday, January 16, 2012, on their way to school. He was arrested by the police after spending a night at the lodge. Shettima had moved the children, all below 10 years old, at the time to Abuja in December 2011, about 2 weeks before the foiled kidnap. He had relocated them from Maiduguri on the advice of security officials, and there were suggestions after Sokoto was arrested that some of them might have links with Boko Haram and were obviously passing information to the terror group. Boko Haram was said to be planning to demand a ransom of 1 billion naira, which was valued at $6.3 million at the time. Whereas Kashim Shettima is the victim, he is still being maligned by political mischief makers for ethnic profiling. Signed, Newi Integrity Group for Tinubu Shettima.